Do y'all see this mess? Do you all see this mess? Read what's on the screen right there. The completion of Zack Snyder's trilogy. Do you see the kind of mind games that they're trying to play? They're trying to push the fact that this is over. The Snyder cut, the Snyderverse is over and done with. HBO Max just released a new trailer. And the video is called the Zack Snyder's Trilogy, Justice League Trilogy trailer. It's a promo to get people to go and watch the three movies, Justice League, BVS, and Man of Steel. And all throughout this trailer is this kind of mess, this kind of text here. Okay, now the trailer is nothing new. It's composed of like all the images that we've seen before of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman and how they came to be. Nothing new, nothing we hadn't seen before. But they're branding it as Zack's trilogy. And you see, I'm gonna go back here because this is important. The completion. This is complete. This is done. All I would say is, guys, keep the pressure. Keep the pressure up. You know, keep talking about it. But this is definitely, at this point, I would say, with about 80-90% certainty, this is the direction that HBO, Warner, AT&T wants to go. This is not like a coincidence, this kind of verbiage, right? This is what they're trying to do. They're saying this is done. This is something that we've completed and it's not coming back. Okay, so we've been waiting for a while. The big date, April 22nd, is when AT&T releases their earnings report, stock market kind of stuff. But basically, that is when we're going to find out the moolah, how much money that HBO Max made in streaming because of the Snyder Cut. Now, they've been super vague with their numbers, not even really giving them at all, because they don't want people to know how well the Snyder Cut did. Even Grace Randolph a couple weeks back tweeted that HBO Max they straight up removed the trending page on HBO Max the day that Snyder Cut went up. So people would not be able to see how well the movie was doing. That's the kind of shady stuff that just gets these, businesses just so much trash on the internet, is because they do stuff like that. So when they release this, it's gonna, they're gonna be like, oh, it was a big quarter for HBO Max, and we had big releases like Judas and the Black Messiah, Godzilla versus King Kong, Wonder Woman did amazing. Everybody knows the biggest movie that they released, and you don't even have to, it's not even a question. The biggest movie that they released was the Snyder Cut. And I love how they just pretend like it's not true if they don't acknowledge it. You had this movie being built up for 4 years. Okay, and you're telling me Godzilla versus Kong, which, don't get me wrong, I love that movie. It was a great movie. Godzilla versus Kong made like $500 million, like at the most. Those movies, like all of them, I don't think any of them cracked $600 million. Man of Steel made more than that. Zack Snyder's movies have made more than that, much more than that. So when we get these numbers, especially because the Nielsen ratings, and not the Nielsen ratings, but all the numbers that we're getting box office wise, etc., on Godzilla versus King Kong, they're showing that movie is following the same trend that the Godzilla movies typically do. So this is nothing special. This is nothing groundbreaking where they're going to say, oh, where this could make up 90% or 80, 50 even percent of their total streaming numbers and their total revenue. Okay, because Godzilla is not doing anything special. Judas and the Black Messiah, the little things, couple hundred million. Yeah, okay, 200, 300, 400 million maybe. But they're going to try and pass this off as, all of these movies, contributed, and that Justice League was just a small part of that, or a decent sized part of that. I I would argue that the Snyder Cut pulled in 50% or more of all of their streaming numbers and all of their streaming revenue. And that's why they're being so tight-lipped about it. If they wanted to show that the Snyder Cut was not successful, the best thing to do would be to just show the numbers. Hey, we gave you guys what you wanted, but see, it doesn't really click. It's not really resonating with fans and with audiences. If you have nothing to hide, then why are you hiding things? Why are you taking the trending page off of HBO Max the day that the movie comes out? This is just nonsense. So this trailer, it's actually a pretty nice trailer. It's about 4 minutes long, and it goes through everything from Man of Steel, through BVS, through the Justice League. But one thing that's weird, it's like, Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman was also a part of his universe. And of course, Patty Jenkins was doing that, but so did Zack Snyder. It was part of his universe, but they don't like to include Wonder Woman, even though it had a very Zack Snyder feel to it. I mean, you look at 1984, and that's just Patty Jenkins, and it's night and day. It's not the same universe. It's barely the same Wonder Woman, maybe by the actress who plays her alone. But as far as tone, feel, aesthetic, like all of that, completely different from Wonder Woman 1. So this trailer just has like footage that we've already seen. So you can tell that it's not for the purpose of showing us this footage and getting people hyped for this. It is purely for one reason: that the completion of Zack Snyder's trilogy. This is what they want to ram down people's throats. They want to take all your hope away that this is what's going to happen just because they say that's what's going to happen. Well, guess what? The Snyder Cut was not coming out. It was never going to be done. 4 years later, it comes out, and people like Ann Sarnoff and the other people at HBO and stuff like that, they'll say things like, "Oh yeah, this was our plan all along. Like we had planned to give Zach, a real ending to his trilogy." I think that's kind of where the first bit of that kind of jargon came up, was in that Variety interview with Ann Sarnoff, where she's talking about, oh, this was his trilogy. Like that was something that they had planned for it to be a trilogy. No, they had planned for it to be a connected universe with multiple films. They did not plan for it to be a trilogy. Okay. And what it does, it's disingenuous. And I've said this before, because it takes away the credit of all the people who stayed with it and stayed adamant and stayed vocal as fans for the last 4 years trying to get this movie done. Then the big corporation comes in and says, "Oh yeah, that was our plan all along." And they're hijacking the movement, saying that this was their plan to get, it was Warner Brothers' plan to get Snyder Cut released. That doesn't even sound right. And the fact that they can say that with a straight face just shows how little they're actually in touch with the fan base and how little they're connected with the fans. But they say that, and the reason that they're doing it is to hijack the movement, to end the movement. They're not picking up the baton and carrying forward, a Snyderverse. They're saying this was all their plan so that they can say this is the end of the plan. Make no mistake about it. That's the reason that they're doing all of this, is to put an end to it. And I think people just have to be able to call it like it is. And people have been doing that online. And all I would say is just stay vocal, stay adamant. I mean, it is working. That from what I've heard from people that I've talked to, things are happening, and meetings are being had, even with Snyder. Snyder was having some meetings, I think either last week or this week, with Warner, talking about possible ways to move forward on HBO Max. But the just the language that they're putting forward in this trailer that they just released 2 hours ago, as of the recording. Well, no, not the recording. We're live. They're showing their hand. We know they're whoa, what was that? That was kind of cool. Can I flip through them like that? Well, that's dope. Anyway, they're showing their hand. their agenda is on full display for everybody to see that the Snyder Cut is something they are trying so hard to end. Um, so stay vigilant, I would say. They're putting out these messages because they must not feel their message is getting across. You feel me? Um, so just stay vocal, like, online. I just it's so frustrating to see, like, companies throw away their fan base's dreams and their fan base's desires, especially when they're willing to pay money for it. You talk about resurrecting the box office, please. You talk about Godzilla versus King Kong doing that. Imagine what would happen if the Snyder Cut was out in theaters. Are you kidding me? There's a reason it didn't come out in theaters. HBO could have easily put it out in theaters. You saw they're doing their entire slate from, The Little Things to Space Jam to Mortal Kombat, you name it. All of those movies are going out in theaters. They never really gave a good reason why they weren't putting the Snyder Cut out in theaters. Um, and the reason is because of transparency. You see, if they release it online, okay, on HBO Max, they get to decide when and if they're going to tell people the numbers. But if they put it out in the theaters, then the box office, those numbers are going to be harder to contain in thousands of movie theaters all around the country, if not the world, because it would have had a global release. Um, so it's all about transparency there. And it's funny because they would have made a ton of money. But one thing that I've learned throughout this entire Snyder Cut frenzy over the last 4 years is at some point they care about their plan and their agenda more than they care about even money. They care about being right and they care about being in control. So they don't want the Snyder Cut, even if it's the most successful thing since sliced bread. Even if it's like arguably the most successful fan base in cinema history. I mean, just the amount of work that they've done, the amount of visibility they've gained, the amount of fandom that's been created over this movie, the amount of charities that have been donated to from the proceeds from different things happening with this movement. Zack Snyder and what happened to his daughter, the movements that he's been able to create because of that um, is ridiculous. But yet they call it a negative thing so they can get their plan moved forward. They call it a toxic fan base, I guess parts of it, because they want to get their plan moved forward. They'll call it whatever, you know? They will show little sympathy for a man who went through such a tragedy like Zack Snyder did so that they can get their plan moved forward. And it's like, for what? So, there's all this talk about Dwayne The Rock Johnson and the Black Panther movie and his desire to see that done in the Snyderverse. And really, guys, honestly, that's a coin. I was about to say a coin toss. It is. Dwayne The Rock Johnson is a box office beast. Like, don't get me wrong, he's got a lot of pull, arguably just as much as the board at Warner Brothers, at Warner Media. And that's saying a lot for one actor. But considering, the universe that he had been imagining for nearly 8 years, almost a decade, he's been the Black Adam. But he's just been developing this movie. And then when Zach comes along, he's friends with Henry Cavill. All of these things seem to be falling in place. And then all of the sudden, the studio doesn't like the movie anymore for whatever reason. And they talk about, giving the reins to the creators that they're bringing on board. Well, Zack Snyder was a creator that you brought on board. But, not him. No, except him. We want to give a voice to everyone in DC except him. Doesn't make any sense. Army of the Dead, the trailer released today. Excellent trailer. I did a video on that. I'll leave a link down in the description below. Also, hit me up in the chat too. Let me know your thoughts on this stuff. But the Army of the Dead trailer came out. It was phenomenal. Did a video on that. Zack Snyder still got it, man. The dude is a visual monster. Like, just everything he paint, it's like a canvas that he's just painting in the frame. It's crazy. Netflix is going to be very happy with this movie and just kind of everything Zach does, because in a way I think a lot of people, if they even if they didn't like the movie, I think that what Zach's been through and his ability to come back, edit his own 4-hour take of a movie and release it, I think that resonated with a lot of people. And so people are going to support his stuff for a long time to come, no matter what Warner ends up doing with the Snyderverse. But yeah, just this is some like ridiculous jargon that they're putting up on these trailers. The completion of Zack Snyder's trilogy, not just Zack Snyder's trilogy. They double down. 2 words tell you that this is limited. The first one is completion, meaning that it's over, it's complete, it's done. Number 2, trilogy. 3, that's it, and it's already done. You get Man of Steel, you get BVS, you get Justice League. They throw out, Wonder Woman. I don't know why it was Zack Snyder. It was Patty Jenkins and Zack Snyder, but they throw that out. They don't give him credit for that. So yeah, this kind of stuff is what I think infuriates the fan base, and it's just like you're gonna hit us with like we're gonna subliminal message you to like it's crazy. They know what they're doing. We know what they're doing. I mean, you see it. It's as clear as day here. So let me know what you think down in the comments below, how you're reacting to this new trailer, this new completed Zack Snyder trilogy trailer dropped on HBO Max. It's just some nonsense. Anyway, keep up the fight, guys. It's not over, so don't be discouraged. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse, guys. We had The Flash come out. I just uploaded my Supergirl video. Supergirl went up, The Flash went up tonight. I think it's public. Yeah, it's public now. So you can go check that out if you're looking for something to watch next. Again, the Army of the Dead trailer dropped. I did a video on that as well. Some Marvel stuff I did. There was also some Witcher news a couple weeks back. I don't know if you guys had seen any of that. Did a video on that. All the latest stuff I'm covering. I'm watching the Snyderverse and all that constantly. So be sure to stay tuned to that. Also, hit me up in the comments below. Let's discuss it. Let's discuss this disgusting, because I'm disgusted. Like the fact that they would do this to the fans in trailers like this, like it just puts a bad taste in the mouth of fans. And I'm not typically the type to boycott because I do like DC's characters. I love them. They're amazing. Zack Snyder's interpretation and rendition of them is astounding. So I really don't want to be in a situation where I would boycott. But when you have an entity that is in control of the creative rights of these characters, that is literally, it's one thing if they have a different direction for the characters, but when you badmouth a fan base, sorry, I'm hitting the mic. When you badmouth a fan base like that, when you try and like force them to accept your way of doing things, it's not a give and take relationship. But it's like, say what you want about Disney and Marvel, they don't do that to their fans. They don't do that to their fans. And movies have been accepted and not accepted. Captain Marvel is a great example, just keeping it real. That was a movie that was not very well received by a lot of people. And they just handled it with grace. You know what I'm saying? Like it was no, you're going to take this. Look what's basically happening. They subtly understood and they moved the plan. Now, I'm not saying Captain Marvel's gone. But you can kind of see Wanda is taking that center stage. She's paid her dues. A lot of people really like her character. I love her character. And she's uber powerful, more powerful than Captain Marvel for sure. So when you look at, how they handled that situation, masterclass. Then you look at how Warner handles a problem with the fan base wanting something. It's a masterclass on the don'ts of dealing with a fan base. So I've ranted long enough. This stuff is disgusting. I hate seeing it. But that's just my 2 cents. Let me know yours down in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe, as we're covering all your favorite content. And we're always taking suggestions here on WeSib. So let us know if there's anything you want to see us cover. Also, check out our sister channel, the Quente Ledger. I'm a nerd. I do tech videos as well. I do it over there with my best friend, both my best friends. So be sure to check that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I will see you guys in the next one. Have a good night.